Hello, everybody, and welcome to the channel today. How's everybody doing?
I'm doing great.
Well, I was telling Margaret earlier, right before you hopped on us, I spilled my snack and broke the bowl that it's in, and it's just on the floor where you can't see it. So that's how my day's going.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's tragic.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, we like to meet people where they are. So whatever mood you're in, whatever crisis you're going through, we're holding space for a fun little chat with a new author, and hopefully you'll fall in love with the books and participate in the Black Authortuber Readathon this year.
Yay!
Hi. So, if you're new here, my name is Margaret Pinard. I'm a historical fiction author and eclectic reader, and I host this readathon. This is the 5th year, which is very exciting. And Beth Ann is a co-host this year. So, Beth Ann, what's your channel about, and what do you like to read?
Yeah, my channel is purely Booktube side of things. I like to read a little bit of everything, and I like to talk about it on my channel. I tend to not do a lot of like the tags and TBRs and things like that. I stick pretty strongly with what have I read and what did I think about it, which I think is a pretty good time.
Nice. And so for today's featured author, we have Ines Johnson, lover of fairy tales, folklore, and mythology. Ines spends her days reimagining the stories of old in a modern world. She writes books where damsels cause the distress, princesses wield swords, and moms save the world, which is a great intro. So hello, Ines, and welcome.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. I have a first question because I was very impressed and rather awed by how many titles show up on Amazon under your name.
And she only knows the one pen name.
Gosh, okay.
Wow.
So tell us about your latest release and how does it differ from the arc of your published catalog?
The latest release.
Whichever one you want to pick up from, yeah.
So I've released a trilogy. I'm so glad I have props behind me. I released a trilogy. I love fairies. My bio said I love fairy tales and folklore mythology, but I was getting tired of writing it about princesses. I've written The Beauty and the Beast, the Cinderella story over and over again in many different iterations. And last year, I just decided I want to talk about the villains, because were they really bad? Like, you're telling them to do all this, they're bad, but were they really bad? Like all these wicked stepmothers. Like, I'm almost an empty nester. I've got one out in just a couple of weeks. He might wake up groggily and bang through doors. So I apologize if that happens. But I'm almost an empty nester, and I'm like, I think these stepmoms and these wicked moms, I think they got a bad rap. So I started writing my Wicked Evermore series, which are fairy tale retellings, but they star the villains. So the first book in the series is Maleficent's story, and Aurora is the villain because Aurora cursed Prince Philip and Maleficent into a cursed waking sleep so that they couldn't see each other even when they were so close together. And when the book opens with the curse breaking, Maleficent is not happy, and she is going to get her revenge. And so that's Wicked Beauty. And there's 2 other books in this series. Wicked Song is Ursula's story, where Ursula pretends to be Ariel in order to win back the Sea Kingdom. And she decides she's going to pretend to be Ariel. She's going to marry the prince. Problem is, she falls in love with the prince. And so he thinks that she's Ariel. And she has to figure out, how am I going to break the news? Because I got my kingdom, I got my king, I got everything that I want. And he still thinks that I'm this little precious, innocent girl. How am I going to figure that out? And what just released, though, is Wicked Chill, which is a Snow White retelling starring
Queen. Yeah. Nice.
And I will just tell you that this book opens with the wicked stepmother seducing Prince Charming. Just because she has to win back the castle, she can't possibly let it go to Snow White. And if Snow White marries the prince, then the castle, the whole realm is doomed. So for the good of the realm, she decides to seduce her stepdaughter's fiance. So bad.
Messy fairy tales. Nice.
Interesting. Yeah.
Very
That
messy.
sounds so intriguing.
Oh, thank you.
And I like that. So we've gone through lots of the fairy tale retellings, and now we're switching to the villain side. I like that.
And with older women, that was it too. Because I was tired of writing, like, I'm going to make the best decision. No, they make some questionable decisions, and sometimes they're not necessarily justified. And that was fun. It was so much fun.
Yeah, yeah. And you get tired of reading about ingenues too when you're, you know,
You're getting up there. When you're sweating in the middle of the night, when you're itchy. Boobs get itchy, and I'm looking at Ursula in this seashell bra, and I'm like, nah, no.
Oh my gosh. All right. So let me just reiterate that we are featuring Black Authortubers here on the channel, and I'm very happy to have Ines today. And the purpose of the Readathon is to highlight Black authors' channels, and hopefully you have found the subscribe button over on another tab for Ines's channel. And how do you participate in the Readathon, Bethann?
You read a book.
You read one book.
Lord.
It's so easy.
Yes, yes. And so just a reminder, I'm going to put the link to the spreadsheet, because what's going to happen is I'm going to put all of, I'm going to try to contact everyone who puts their name on the spreadsheet at the end and invite them on for the wrap up. So if you put your name on the sheet, you have a chance to come in on the live stream on March 2nd. And so put that on your calendar if you're reading for this and you want to be involved. And that is the link. It's the real one. I have done some link messing up, so this is the real one. You can be assured. We have lots of great people in the chat, like Julie and Lynn and Leslie and Catpaw and other Black Authortubers, aka Harold, another historical fiction, yay, and Mojo, who's coming on for the fantasy panel. So very excited for later in the month. Okay. I do want to ask, if you guys have questions, put them in the chat and we'll handle them after my questions, because that is my privilege as the host. So what's the first tag? First question is, how'd you get into writing?
I knew I was meant to be a storyteller. My dad's a songwriter, and my first memories are of stories told through song, not even just with words, but with sound. I learned very early how my dad showed us how you layer the different instruments and how each instrument told its own story, and then it layered together. So you got the vocals and the keyboard and the drums and the bass, how all that layered together to tell a story. So I knew I was destined for story. I originally thought for like 5 seconds that I was going to be a singer, until my dad disabused me of that notion.
Oh.
Tough love. And then I went into screenwriting. So I went to, I say film school because it was radio, television, and film. They were all in the same building, but I focused on television because I liked the episodic nature of it. So I say I went to film school, but I went to television. So that doesn't make any sense when you say I went to television school.
Right.
And I learned screenwriting. Left and worked mostly in cable television, mostly in documentary television, did some primetime television work, did some children's television work. And while I was doing the children's television, that's when I decided to write my first novel. It is a book that will never see the light of day, which is fine. But the second book that I ever wrote, I'm about to bedazzle this, that's why it's so close. The second book that I wrote
oh my gosh, that's a whole segment. Okay.
The second book that I ever wrote was Pumpkin, a Cinder Mama Story. It's, again, I love fairy tales. So I wrote Pumpkin, a Cinder Mama Story, Bo and Rumpled, a Cinder Mama Story. And these stories are all feature single moms who feel like they messed up their first chance at love because they kissed a frog, had a baby, and it did not work out happily ever after. And in each of these books, she basically gets her second chance at a happily ever after as a single mom. So I wrote that and I put that up and I just got bit by the bug. It was just, I had so much fun. I got to showcase women like me. And I just went on from there. I got more and more fantastical in my tellings. Like I went from a single mother in New Orleans to I built a whole fairy tale world. So that's how I started.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay, so I have my list of questions, and then I didn't do this ahead of time. Bethan, if you have a question, would you like to jump in now?
I'm good to keep going down this
All
track.
right.
Yeah.
Just checking in there.
Mm.
How did you decide how to go about publishing? Because as a lot of authors know, there's different paths, and some are easier and some are more accessible. So how did you decide?
I wrote, I think it was 30 letters to agents and traditional publishers, and I didn't get any rejections. I got crickets. So I said, okay, then. And then this was in December of 2014. I put up the first book up on Amazon, and I believe I made $100 from people that I didn't know, and that book was 99 cents.
Wow,
nice,
right? And I thought, and I'm still working in the industry. At that time, I think I was working. I was definitely teaching screenwriting, and I think I was doing like the odd production here and there. But so I didn't need money. I didn't do it for money. I did it because this is another way of telling stories. And again, I had been working in the media industry, which is very group work based. And I'm very much a type A personality. And I love being able to do as much of a job myself as possible. I like community, but I don't like to, because I want it when I want it done when I want it done. I want it done how I want it done too. And I can love on you, but I will probably love on you and then take the work away so that it can get done and I'm not anxious about it. When I saw that I could produce a whole story from my heart to my head to the page and share it with other people and get them loving these characters that I created, and it only took me and some editors and some cover designers. I was hooked.
Nice. Oh yeah, cover designers. I think it's pretty common for authors to want to do as much as they can themselves. The ones that I run into on YouTube, and that's big part of the reason why they go indie. I mean, control freak as a term has been thrown around, and some of us will definitely answer to that. Yeah. I definitely decided early on that the covers are not my specialty. I definitely have to sort that out. Like, that is not me. Yeah. So you talked about your dad a little bit in terms of music storytelling. Was there someone in the media industry maybe that you saw who was like a really great role model for how to take on a business?
Not anyone in particular. I exclusively write romance. And even before I published my first book, I just remember we were on like Yahoo. Remember those Yahoo threads that would come to your email? Do you remember that? I just remember getting on one of those Yahoo threads. It was all about romance authors and romance readers and romance publishing, independent publishing, and saying, this is what I'm going to do.
Yahoo groups, like message boards? You would sign up?
Message board, it would come, the whole thread would like come to your email. So you didn't have to like go to the board, because I didn't like to. I wanted to just come to my email. And I remember just getting a lot of advice and watching people get advice and watching people just help each other out. And that was a revelation. The majority of them were women, if not all of them were women. And there were other groups too. And it remains this area of society where you can say, I need help, and people will rush to your side and they will help you. It's so fascinating to me. Well, it's not fascinating. It's odd. It's very odd to me when I poke my head outside the door of Romancelandia and I hear, oh, those romance authors, oh, those sex books, oh, how are they doing this? These women should be ashamed of themselves. And I'm like, who are y'all even talking about? And I quickly go back inside, because all I see inside are women helping each other, women saying, this is how I did it. This is why I did it. Here are my numbers. If you need help, let me know. Do you want me to shout you out in my newsletter? Do you want me to show you how to do a Facebook ad? Do you want me to show you how to do TikTok live? Come on, I got you. That's all I hear. That is all that I hear. So when the very rare times when I walk out the door of Romancelandia and I don't go too far, it's very odd to me. So when you ask, do I have any mentors or role models? It's really this community, because anytime that I have needed help, all I need to do is say it out loud or type it on the keyboard, and someone will come to my aid. And if they don't know the answer, they know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who does.
They know a guy. They know a gal.
Yeah. Know a gal.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Yeah. I love that so much.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. So what it says to me is that it feels like more of a peer-to-peer network, that everyone is reaching out with their strengths, like asking for things to address their deficiencies in the new, I don't know, as a newbie in the industry, for example, which is really nice.
Yeah. How has that evolved out of the Yahoo group? I assume it's not still happening in Yahoo groups.
No, so it evolved out of the Yahoo group, and it evolved out of Romance Writers of America, RWA, as well, and it lives a lot on Facebook, in Facebook groups. It lives a lot in conferences. For example, there was a romance author mastermind, which ran for years until that creator was like, y'all, I need a break. Where again, women would for something like Romance Author Mastermind, you had to be established, because we were answering questions that weren't like 101 level. So, but then there were others before that, and on alongside that, and really you just needed to go and ask, like, hey, so originally it was like RWA. You would go to the RWA and you'd get all of your questions answered, or you would know someone would help you. And when RWA began to dissolve, a lot of those people the people still stayed together. So you could still go to your local romance writing group. They're probably not going to be called RWA, but they're there. And you can go to those women and ask for help. You can go to them and say, hey, I would love to go on a writing retreat. Do you know any? Or, hey, can we go on a writing retreat? And when you're on these writing retreats, or when you're in these groups, you're talking about the industry. You're talking about what you're doing, what they're doing. You get ideas. They tell you about a class that they've taken. And this is the same inside of Facebook groups as well. You can go to Facebook groups that focus on just romance. You can go to Facebook groups that focus on just like indie publishing. And people are just very giving of their knowledge. They're like, oh, you want it? Here. So in being giving of their knowledge, like you're probably going to have to mine through some things. There are a ton of people who have made courses. So that's another thing. Like if you're an introvert and you don't want to talk to people, you can go and you can look up courses on
yeah.
You can look up courses on how do I run a Facebook ad? How do I publish a book? And there's people on YouTube as well. Like one of my favorite people in the world, Sarah Cannon, runs a whole channel talking to authors saying, hey, you want to write a book? Here's some of my strategies for free. And there's tons of us here. So there's just so many people just putting things out there. So I know that if I were new today, I would just go on and say, I want to write a book. And you'd have a lot of things popping up. Some are not good, but some
use
great.
Your judgment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mojo, introvert for life. She feels me. Okay, so when you said when RWA dissolved, like I know a bit about that history, but not everything. But it reminds me of the March of Time, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, okay, so you have this publishing journey, right? And how was it affected by the pandemic? Did you see a boost in sales? Did you see in-person relationships and retreats onto digital platforms? What was like the thing that you took away from that, or had to learn and be challenged by?
From if we're talking specifically about the pandemic, I firmly believe artists saved the world. We would have lost a lot more people if it were not for artists of all kinds. Artists leaning out their windows and playing music, artists going online and singing to each other, artists writing more stories and saying, I don't know if you remember, but there were months where artists would say, I personally know romance authors who said, I'm going to put my whole catalog for free today. If you need something to read, if you need something to cheer you up, have at it. It was beautiful. I love my community so much. And so that's what I saw. I saw us grow, because we opened our hearts in a time when people just needed someone to care about them, when people needed something to feel good about. We showed, hey, we provide this. And I feel like our corner of the world just grew. Romance is always the number one seller in the world, but I just feel like we grew because we are a language of the heart, and during that time, that's where people needed to be touched, was in their hearts, and that's what we did.
Yeah, that's great. Great.
That was a powerful ad for romance. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. You're awesome.
If I knew how to clip things, I would clip that for sure. Right. Okay. We had a question, so I'll pop it in. This is Angela. What steps did you take to learn the craft of writing, to like form your skills?
I am trained as a screenwriter, but even before I became trained as a screenwriter, man, I was born in the late 70s, proud child of the 80s, and there was just something different in the airwaves when we were watching television. We learned so much from cartoons, from after school specials, from the movies that were put on. We just learned so much. Like I don't understand a story that doesn't have like a lesson. Like after school special to me, you're going to learn something. As I'm telling you this tale, you're going to get something valuable for living. Right. And so those were just instilled in my head. So I can't, no like school can take any credit for that, and for that knowledge and for that learning. Other than that, I did go to, I went to Howard University School of Communications, and I learned and then I went and I started working. I was blessed to have a lot of great teachers. I started working at National Geographic, which was my dream. I used to watch Maryland Public Television. I used to watch Maryland Public Television when I was a kid, and I was allowed to watch any cartoons, any after school specials, and then I could watch Maryland Public Television. And on Maryland Public Television was National Geographic. And so it was my dream to work there, and I worked there. And having to learn to tell story differently is also another thing that really benefited me. So I remember so clear, I can remember where I was sitting in the conference room, and I was just like, I'll get coffee, because it was the head writer at Nat Geo was bringing in new writers to write for what they call the blue chip documentaries, which is the documentaries where there are no people, they're just animals. So you have to give the animals human characteristics, which is called anthropomorphizing. I know that big word. And I watched and I just listened to him talking it was like a room full of women too. I was just listening to him explain how to give these non-humans human characteristics, because it was all about the emotion and making you connect and feeling empathy. And it just clicked. Like I didn't know I was going to be a romance author at that time, but those lessons absolutely stayed with me on how to create empathy, how to create connection. So I got lucky. One, proud child of the 80s. Two, and it's still coming from television. It's still coming from like the stuff that I learned at Nat Geo, the stuff that I learned on sets. It just, those are really what made me. So I guess really it's life that taught me what I know.
Nice. And that's fun that you mentioned Howard, because I think Nyla, who's coming on Friday, is also going to Harvard for higher ed right now. So that's we're representing. I love it. Yeah. Also, I used to live in DC, and I would go to the National Geographic Square, and they had this whole thing. I don't know if it was geese or swans. There was something that was migrating, and at a certain time of the year, they would always like take care of these birds that were nesting on the building.
Were in the square.
Yeah, it was so exciting. Yeah. So that was really cool. So yay, I like that little connection. Let's see. We had some more authors stopping by. So that's Gareth and Jocelyn, another writer friend, saying hello, and Jim. So hey everybody, welcome. My next question. So I think I would know the answer to the first part. And which would you never write?
Maybe I like books.
Yeah.
What would I never write? Literary fiction. Like I have no business writing literary fiction. I think especially since I'm so trained on after school specials that I feel are structured, and the cartoons and episodic television. I'm so structured, and I feel like there is a freeformness to literary fiction that I just don't. Not even literary fiction, just literary, where there doesn't have to be a form. It hurts my brain because I want to wrangle it into a pattern. My brain likes patterns, and when I can't when I can't see the path that you're trying to lead me on, it makes me very uncomfortable. When I go too far off of a plotted track when I'm writing, I get very uncomfortable. I like patterns. Reading is my safe space. And I hear people talk about, oh, romance is so formulaic. Well, yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
The reader is coming for a very specific experience. So if I were to show up to a water park, and then all of a sudden what I see is a desert, and you want me to trek across this desert, I'm out. You come to an experience with expectations. And if you want to kind of bait and switch, I'm not your reader. Romance is not a genre for you. The readers trust the author so much because we know we're going to start at place A and you're going to get us to Z. And we all know exactly what Z is going to be. It's going to be happily ever after. That is the rule. You cannot break that rule, period, ever. So the fun of it becomes, well, how are you going to get us there in an interesting and new way? And again, we all like to have the same way that there's so many subgenres in romance. You've got historical romance, you've got Western romance, you've got dark romance, you've got romantasy, you've got paranormal. It's all over the board, right? You've got like not serial killer, but you got some psycho romances going on.
Right?
Okay.
So there are, and that all comes from authors, whether they realize it or not, seeing the patterns that readers are really enjoying. So if you're doing a paranormal romance, at some point, you're going to have a show of power of whoever the paranormal person is. If it's a werewolf, he's going to shift. If it's a vampire, he's going to either drink blood or show that he is really young when he should be old, right? If it's a witch, she's going to cast a spell. So you're going to have a show of power, and we get excited when that is at least revealed to us and then revealed to the love interest. And maybe we're trying to not reveal it to the society at large. That gets exciting, and we like to watch that push and pull. Another trend today in paranormal romance is when it's usually the hero will look at his fated mate and say, "You're mine." And that gives readers a thrill as well, right? And then at some point, the reader is gonna, when they confront the nemesis or the big bad, they're probably gonna have another show of power where, you know, that the vampire will, I don't know, drink your blood, and the werewolf will shift and protect you. So we're expecting those things along the way. And I study romance, so we can go into that, like the expectations of romantasy, the expectations of romantic suspense. There are expectations that you are supposed to meet. And if you are someone who says, well, I'm just going to put all that on its head, I don't even try to talk you out of it.
Not enjoyable. No.
They come for a reason. Your customers are asking for an experience. If you're not going to give them that experience, you're not doing this for the customer. You're doing it for yourself, which is fine. But just understand you're doing it for yourself and not for the customer who asked for something specific.
Right. And you said, you're mine. When I think of things boiling down to like trigger phrases, and TikTok is the master place of like boiling things down, right? I think of Who Hurt You, which is funny because you can go from one context to another and mean totally different things. And the Touch Her and Die. That's the one I see the most.
Those are micro tropes. Those are things that we hear, and TikTok taught us, because readers kept talking about that over again. What was the one and the one of the fourth wings, which was my house, my woman, my chair, and people knew what you were talking about when you said those three phrases. So those are the micro tropes. Like it's not enough to build a story on. But when you put it in there, it gives readers what I call a heartbeat moment, where they're like, oh, and they want to talk about it. So if you do that, you're going to get people talking about your books.
Right.
Why would you want to subvert that? The purchaser of your craft just told you what they want. Why would you ignore them?
Right. Yeah, that's great. So Gareth says, I love Enes's answer to inspiration and learning craft, life. Gareth is all the things and tries to like cross fertilize. So that is totally talking to his strengths, which is great. We have Laura, another author, popping in, and Eloise, another author. Hope I'm not too late. No, you're all good. Serial killer romance, probably out there. Yeah.
Thinking of Vesta Allen, and the character's not a serial killer. He pretends to be.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that reminds me of
like stalker romance.
Yeah, that's a no for me. I can't do those.
So I thought the same thing, and it's the funniest book I have read in a long time. They're so self-aware. You would think you don't want to read it, and you might not, but it is so self-aware, and it is the funniest book done.
Okay, all right. Okay. Well, I'll read a blurb
out for those of you that are curious.
Yeah. How about the marketing side? So for authors, we know there are many different avenues to reach readers, and a lot of authors will go for Instagram ahead of YouTube. So we're a pretty small community on the YouTube that stays active. So how did you decide to start a YouTube channel, and how did you get into that? How did you do those separate skills?
I actually decided to start a YouTube channel, and I just started my second one recently. And I did that because I wanted to talk to authors. I didn't know that readers would want to hear because I like talking craft. Love talking craft. I get weird talking about my stories because I will constantly start talking about other people's books and forget to talk about my books. That's why I try to stand right here whenever I'm talking. But I wanted to talk to other authors. I love talking through as I'm writing, as I'm plotting, as I'm writing, as I'm revising. I love talking it through. Even if no one is talking back to me, it's just helpful for me to say things out loud. So I started on my Ines Johnson YouTube channel. I started just, kind of vlogging as I'm writing a book. Like, I'm about to work on this plot point. These are the goals, the motivations, the conflicts that my character's facing right now. These are the obligatory scenes. I'm trying to work in some heartbeat moments. I'm trying to work in some micro tropes. Let's see if I can do it. Okay, I'm going to do it. And then I'd do a 25-minute sprint. And I would come back and tell them like what I did, how it worked. So I started to do that. But then there would always come a time where if you start to tell a story, and then you get really into, maybe you're reading a story out loud, and then you get really into it, and then you kind of just have the book and you kind of turn away. That kept happening. Like, I would just get really into my story, and then I would forget to come back and tell people. So I would be like a couple of chapters ahead. That kept happening. So what I decided to do last month is I've made a second channel, the Romance Write Club channel. On that channel, I just put up sprints. So I just say, okay, I love explaining like craft, and I love talking about craft. So I might talk about, I'm going to write the meet cute today. And this is what happens in the meet cute. These are some of the things that you want to think about. Maybe your characters in this particular instance, maybe your character's facing this. Maybe they're thinking about this when they meet the hero or when they meet the heroine. Think about that. And let's just start writing. We're going to start writing. We'll do a 25-minute sprint and go. So I've just been recording tons of those, like going through a book, just recording tons of those and putting them up so you don't have to rely on me to do it when I'm writing my book.
Got it. Yeah. I sort of diverged. Like, I was big into sprint culture and then realized I wasn't really getting stuff done because I was too aware of being observed.
All the time? Wow. I never thought of that.
I was in a couple years, and then just sort of like, I'm not feeling sprints. I'm not getting work done, and I feel that they're just taking time away without any content.
Wow.
On my own, it's kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, no, you. A lot of people don't know themselves, and I get really anxious when people want you to figure them out for them, and like, I'm telling you what's worked for me.
Yeah. We had another question. Let me get to the question at the end. So Laura says, I have a serial killer romance that works. 2 serial killers are trying to woo each other with trophies. Laura writes horror. So the romance horror mashup, that's where you want to go.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Garrett says, bouncing off the doing it for the customer comment. As a musician, I always say it doesn't matter if you think you're good. It's if the audience does. That's a good point for when you're in your head about something. Says that to students too. Yeah, good point. Jim says the Mindfuck series by S.T. Abby, a female serial killer, and the FBI agent hunting her. Intense, dark, and addictive.
Interesting.
I don't really do a lot of dark, but I hear you.
And I like that the name spells out stabby because yes.
Cute.
Yeah. Eloise, I think the big issue comes when authors force it or have no plot outside those microtropes or those 3 kinds of scenes. But if you fold it in, that's where it's chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting the folded in reference there, Eloise. Appreciate it. Eva is here. And then I just popped up the website, which I think is another author focused endeavor,
yes,
right?
an author focused website. So that's for courses. If you want, like, if you want to look at things for free, I have a Substack. It's like ineswrites.substack.com is what I think it is. Tons of free craft information, tons of marketing advice, tons of productivity advice. Lots of, I've had it for, I think this is my 3rd year on Substack. So tons of stuff on there. And then of course on the YouTube, like if you Romance Write Club, you'll find that, and all of that's free.
Awesome. Yeah, sprint culture. Yeah. And Leslie says, just stopped in my tracks. I didn't think to hear about a serial killer romance mashup. The more you know. I love it. Speaking of 80s. Okay. And then Angela had another question, which will pop in. As a Black author, what pressures and support have you faced from both Black and non-Black communities about your writing? Great question.
Pressures and support. I can't think of any pressures. I can't. I'll again, and always know that I am specifically in the romance community. Tons of Black authors, interracial romance authors, authors from different colors, like African American, Hispanic authors, all across the board are in this community. And I think this is my personal opinion. I think we are romance first. We're romance first. We're women first. And I feel like in romance, especially because I read a lot of fantasy romance, because we are not dealing with this place right here. we don't deal with a lot of the microaggressions and outward aggressions that we have to deal with. So I just feel so much support in the romance community, period. I do know that going outside of this community, that there is a lot, not a lot. Let me be careful about my qualifiers. That there is friction of whether we can get everyone to read our romances. People will start to make assumptions based upon your race, regardless if you're African American, if you're a Latino American, or from some other culture. Like there's been some amazing Muslim Americans writing romance. And again, they get assumptions made about their work before you open the page. So that would be, but I don't feel that that's a pressure. I feel that that is stereotype is the wrong word. That is something that is a bone of contention that is happening. But then there are channels like this where people are like, hey, what are you doing? Come on over here and talk to us. And let me introduce you to this person and that person, which I really feel is so much of the romance community, period, where it's very much one of those tables of come sit with us. So I feel an overwhelming sense of that it is kind of hard for me to think about, like, what are the pressures specifically as a Black author.
I can give you a little break to like process it a little bit because I've been reading this book that is about activism, and it's called Practicing New Worlds. And it's very theoretical. It's very dense nonfiction that I'm trying to work through. But essentially, the idea is that the system that we have politically is pretty broken. So we need to imagine outside that instead of trying to fix the broken system. Imagine what the world could be. And when you're describing how helpful the romance community is to each other, it sounds like the little Garden of Eden in there that we need to imagine for everyone, like to have that expanded.
That's very fair.
Yeah, get outside maybe what we're used to towing the line for, whether it's how we distribute our books or what we think we need to price things at, like all the things that you think this is how I'm supposed to do it. If you rethink that, if you offer it free for a day, if you're doing community advice, if you're relating in some kind of different way that is communitarian rather than what you're expected to do or supposed to do, maybe that will help expand that lovely feeling that you were describing.
Yeah. So I would encourage everybody to come on over.
I've tried thinking about romance storylines, and I eat them up. I read them pretty regularly, but I just cannot land on one that feels like me, like it originates with me. It feels like I'm just taking things from other places. So it's not coming right yet, but yeah.
I hear you.
One day. Yeah, come sit with us. That's powerful. Yeah.
Please come sit with us.
Yeah, especially in a woman-dominated world, the romance makes me want to write romance. I'm so used to Mean Girls. Oh.
Let me not be complete, because there are bad apples everywhere. There are absolute bad apples. We absolutely have our share of drama, but it's just the positivity and the support is just so loud. It's so loud that
drowns out the other stuff.
It really does.
Yes. Yeah. Walk on over to Nessa. She's got the website in the chat. She's got the channel in the description. So definitely find out where she is and try a book, because I think Beth and I have both read a book. Yes. I read Mated in Moonlight. Mated by Moonlight.
Gosh.
So I read Shifter Werewolf Romance. That was really fun.
That is hilarious, because that was sometimes I do experiments. And I wanted to try out. Maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago, there was a huge boom of Instalove. And Instalove, which is what you read, Instalove is like telling a romance story in like 20,000, really 18,000 words or less, which is less than 100 pages. It's like maybe 60 pages. Wow. And I just saw women doing this, and I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. And so I wrote 4 of them and then promptly forgot about it.
Wow.
Okay. What are you talking about? I forgot I wrote those books.
Yeah, that was fun. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it.
Let's see. Okay. How about this? This is maybe pulling a little bit from earlier questions, but how has your writing business evolved, and what's your favorite twist or innovation that's come with experience?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So when I first got started, it was ebooks, it was Kindle Unlimited, which I did not last in very long. I've never been a big believer of that format of Kindle Unlimited, of borrowing and then getting paid by the pages, less than a penny. I never. Well, when I started, it was like $1 and something per book. Period. I've started in KU 1.0. So I never really liked that. And then I've been here since 2014. So I've seen so many different changes and iterations happen in this business. And I've gone through thinking that ebooks were it, and meaning like that's how we are all gonna thrive, because traditional publishers weren't paying any, they were poo-pooing ebooks. They were making them more than the print books sometimes, because that was their business, which was print books. Right. I have been through subscription models where, which is episodic, where you're the reader has to subscribe and then they get like a chapter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I've done that. The book box phase, which is still here and thriving.
Yeah.
But right now I started doing direct sales in 2022. I don't remember. I started doing direct sales. Because I
a moment too late, right? Too soon. A moment too soon.
Right, because I just knew, I was just watching some of the things that like Amazon, but not even just Amazon. I do not hate on Amazon. They have changed so many people's lives. But I was watching, I was like, well, why am I constantly, like, I learned Facebook ads from other romance authors. I learned Facebook ads, and I kept thinking to myself, well, why am I sending all that traffic to Amazon and I'm paying for it? Why can't I send it to my website? And that's what that's the things that I switched around. So now I send the traffic that I pay for to my website, and I collect that data, because Amazon doesn't let you collect the data.
Right.
So in doing that, I kept building readers, building readership, building loyalty to me and not to Amazon. And when I first started doing that, I was selling omnibuses. I was selling ebook omnibuses and print book omnibuses. So here is one of my other pen names. I also write under my middle name, Jane Johnson. I write clean and wholesome romance. This is what I started selling. This nice chunk is 5 books. This continues to be my best seller for Sweet Romance. It's military romance wounded warriors on a rehabilitation horse ranch, which the ranch gets recertified so that only families can live there, family units, and so all the soldiers have to get married in order to stay.
That's a brilliant setup.
Wow.
Bestseller.
And you get all the horse girlies. Yes.
Right? Put a horse on the cover and they come running. But my point was that I saw that the direct sales kept bringing in repeat customers. So you can't even see the whole shelf down here, but it's stacked with books. They literally just go through buying each of these omnibuses, right? So the omnibuses were doing well. And then I went to a RAM, Romance Author Mastermind, and I saw people doing the pretty books. And so then I was like, wait, what? I don't have one of them. So I saw people start doing the pretty books. And like you see all the foiling, hang on, the foiling on it. And
oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah. I can't open it too much because there's some not safe for work artwork on the inside. And yeah. But like with these guys, right? So this isn't just a regular, this has the foiling on it as well. This has some edge design. But in addition, one of my TikToks that's doing really well is I say, even Muddy books can have like maps in there. So I've got maps in my books. I've got character artwork in my books at the top and the bottom. So you're now getting all of this stuff in there as well. Plus a happily ever after. That is what is doing it now. So readers want even prettier books.
Pretty stuff, yeah.
Right. So I'm doing all these pretty books. And you have to get them. Again, map. They love a map. They love a map.
We do. We love a map.
Right? I do. Yeah.
And all the pretty artwork. They love all of this stuff, right? So I'm seeing that it's when I thought ebooks were going to be it. Now it's circled back to print. But print books that are done by specialty printers. And then they love it when you sign it. They love it when you're either live on like TikTok or Instagram, or you go to a store or to a signing conference, and then you personalize it and you put more, like I made stickers to go in there. I made bookmarks to go in there, and they eat that up. So that is how my business, I did not expect that twist. I thought I was going to be selling ebooks for the rest of my life. But now like this, this is like $70 where I make all that because Amazon can't sell that. Amazon can't print that.
Right.
And they don't make it easy for me to set it up to sell there.
Right.
And so I make that book sells for $70 and it's mostly profit. So yeah.
We love maps.
Yes, maps
we
are
do.
fun.
Mo says, I need to build up a base here in Europe for those pretty books. The US is still your part.
Start watching Adam Beswick on Adam Beswick and Sasha Black, who's texting me right now, on both of them are on TikTok. Both of them have set up shops. They started to sell so many books over the last 2 years, mostly off of TikTok, that they had to buy warehouses or rent warehouses to stock their books to then sell their books. And these are both indie authors. They are both indie authors.
Amazing.
So, and they're both in the UK, is why I'm telling you those two people. And Adam Beswick has a challenge going on right now in the Novel Games Facebook group, where he is showing people for free how to set up a TikTok shop and sell their paperbacks. You can only sell paperbacks through TikTok shop. It has to be a physical product.
Interesting.
So,
yeah. Things change so fast. I started publishing in 2013, and the main learning curve for me has been how to publish and distribute because of values. So now the only time basically that I will buy Amazon ebooks is when I'm buying them from Black authors, because I realize that that is the easiest way to do it when you're starting out, and I want to support those authors starting out. And so they will only be on Kindle, and so I'll buy the Kindles, but I'm not going there for my first pick. And direct sales is the best, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So last call for questions. Beth Ann, I'll toss to you again if you have other questions.
I do have a question going back to fairy tales, because I read The Beastly Crown.
You did.
I did, and I enjoyed it. Do you have it right there? Yes.
I have them all.
I did read it on Kindle.
Thank you.
We're talking about all these beautiful physical books, but yeah, and enjoyed it. But the thing that always just blows my mind about authors who take fairy tales and change them and focus on, an alternate character and things like that is how do you strike the balance between maintaining some elements that will be familiar to your readers, because that's why we want to read fairy tale retellings, and then introducing your own creative spin on it. How do you walk that line?
That is a great question. And always remember that I came from screenwriting. So one of my favorite classes was adaptations.
Oh, there we go. Cool.
Right. And the thing that I remember most is that you owe nothing to the original work. You owe nothing to the original work. You will get blamed for everything that people don't like.
Yeah,
sure.
And 3, this is probably out of order, but 3, keep the best bits. So I keep the best bits. So like with Beastly Crown, which is a fairy tale retelling, it's a Beauty and the Beast fairy tale retelling, but it's also hidden identity. He forced marriage, but he marries the wrong girl. And in that, I just kept thinking about, I had a friend say to me, why are there no Prince Adam costumes on Halloween? I was like, who? Everybody's like, who? Yeah. That's the Beast. That's who the Beast transformed back into. There's no Prince Adam costume because everyone wants to bang the Beast. And that stuck with me. And I just was thinking, well, how can I write a fairy tale where he saves the Beast and she bangs the Beast? And ta-da!
That's what we get. It was so fun.
Thank you.
And that's really good reframing. Like I wouldn't have thought that is where people start from. That makes sense because they'll get the blame either way than adaptation. Speaking as a Jane Austen fan and the many adaptations that have come out that have sucked.
Right.
Yeah.
But look at Jaff. There's people will go in. Like I have a friend that writes. That's all she does is write Jaff, Jane Austen fan fiction, and they will go in and they have this whole like language where they will go into certain points. Like we're going to be at the Meriton point, or we're going to be at the Pemberley point, or we're going to be. They go in and they will rewrite in these pockets, and it's like there's not only Jaff, but there's certain parts of the story that are more popular than others to write, and people keep adapting and adapting and adapting.
That's so cool. I love it.
Because they sense that they're, what did you call them? Heartbeat moments?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that is where all the juice is. So right. Go for that. Oh man. Interesting.
Yeah. Wow. I'm also curious. I'm reading her Vampire Prince. I'm blanking on the title. I'm like 40% through it right now. It's intense. But have you been skydiving? Like how much research and you were talking about the military romance, like how much research goes into all these different settings? It seems like you have huge diversity.
I make stuff up for a living. My daughter's the adventurous one. She went skydiving. I did.
Wow. Okay. Source.
Yeah.
I did. Like in that book, there's a lot of again with this is the compilation of her Vampire Prince. So there's 4 books in here. And
cool.
There's naughty artwork in there. But this is there's Shibari, the art of tying humans with rope. And so this artist, this was a woman who had her hands bound, and he redid it with the vines because it takes place on a vineyard. But hang on one second, I can show you a little bit. So, and that's also he actually this was actually rope, and he redid it as vines. But no, so I did go to a Shibari class so that I could understand the art of rope tying. I wasn't gonna. I don't even like roller coasters, so it becomes about the emotion. Like I know I'm in that with that particular character. She was numb. She the heroine in the book that you're reading. She lost her father in a car accident. She was a sole survivor, and I had read about sole survivors before and them having a tremendous amount of guilt for being alive. So I was so very focused on the emotion of her. To feel something again. She could not feel anything, and she was just trying to jolt herself back to life. So that's that. There's technically not much about the skydiving,
right?
It's more emotion.
I think you nailed it. It's so fun to read.
Okay, so I put in the description the author focus.
Really? Is that what I have? 213
on Amazon for Ines Johnson, not for all the pen names, right? But I have the writer website in the description, and I just Googled, and this is the book website where you have direct sales, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. This is what I want people to check out, and definitely direct people there. 213 under one pen name, folks. And Eloise says, I'm sorry,
that's probably translations and audio and large print. And
hey, they all involve work, man. So we're getting a man. Oh man. Appreciation. That's an appreciative man. That's like a excellent. Excellent.
But that is a good point though, you guys. So once you have an IP, like I said, there's 4 books in there, but those books have been translated. They each are their own book, they each are their own ebook, they each have their own special edition. There's more than one cover. So there's a man chest cover. There, I don't know how many
you gotta have a man chest cover.
There's an object cover, there's the special edition cover, there's a German, French, Italian, I think Spanish, I can't remember. So it's translated into those languages. I'm trying to sell the audio rights right now. So one book becomes at least 10 things.
Right.
Yeah.
And that means that you have the like stick-to-itiveness and the business acumen to stay focused on that. Whereas I think for me, it's like I like the writing part, and doing all these things to like branch out and make it a business are not my specialty, and like no one's making me do it. So
but that might be a clue that you need a partner like a traditional publisher.
Yeah. It's a good point. That's a good point. Okay, we've got some Hamilton shout outs. Lovely. And yeah, Mojo says boom. Exactly. Mojo says that formula.
If you took the Clifton Strengths, if you guys know Becca Syme, and she does the Clifton Strengths for authors, my number 1 strength is discipline. I like doing
yeah, nice.
I like doing the same thing every day, which is again why the formula thing doesn't bother me, because I'm like, yeah, you gave me the instructions, thanks. So when we were probably first talking, I probably would have told you I can meet anytime after 12 because I write from 8 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. and then the rest of my day I can use for other things, and that's sacred time to me. Don't talk to me during that time. Every day. Yeah. And sometimes I get up and like if I want to work on a special project, I'll get up at 7 a.m. and I'll work on that special project that's not on the calendar. So that's how I write like I'm running out of time. I protect my time. I'm very consistent with my time. Like I didn't write new words today. I'm working on my next special edition. Which is an epistolary romantasy. So it's a book of letters. So I'm just sitting there going through a PDF, making sure that all the letters started on the correct page. It was very tedious work, but I needed it because I just finished 2 books. And my brain was like, can we please have a vacation? Oh, master. Hey, cool. And I sat down on the couch and I did that all day. And tomorrow, I probably won't write again tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll probably just work some more on that book. And but that's me. Most days I get up and I am writing I get up when the sun comes up. My dad and I are both the only early bird people in our family. My children, my brothers and sisters, they are all night owls, and me and my dad my dad knows if he calls me at 7 a.m. I'm up. Like answer on the first ring. So those are my strengths though, and I leverage my strengths. I have friends who are what they call binge writers, where they can't do they will come to me and be like, okay, I'm gonna write with you every day, and I'm like, okay, sweetie, I'll see you then, and then they don't show up because they are they're binge writers. They have to be thinking about it. And then like they'll take a weekend where they will just lock themselves in and they will write like 20,000-30,000 words. I can't do that. That would hurt me. Like I'm very consistent. I write a couple thousand words a day. And then the next thing you know, the book is done. But they will think about it. And then boom, there it is. And so they started to leverage that strength of theirs. And we'll have nearly the same output. Well, I will have more output because I'm constant.
Yeah. It's math. It's just math.
Right? Yeah. Yep.
Excellent. Well, we're nearing the end of our hour. That flew by, and I just wanted to give a chance to shout out any upcoming events. Do you have a book coming out, a pre-order campaign, course opening, anything you want us to link to in the comments for upcoming?
Sure. So my Kickstarter, Parcel of Stardust, will be launching soon. I just got to get all the rest of these costs in. I'll put that in the chat. I'm so excited about this Kickstarter. So excited. Awesome. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. That is the next thing that I technically have releasing. That was the last book that I released. And you know what's interesting? I'm not slowing down with writing, but I'm slowing down with publishing. All the rigmarole that goes into putting a book out into the world, that has me tired. But actually sitting down and telling a story, like I'm already like, okay, what's the next story I'm gonna tell? Yeah. Yeah. So I've got Parcel of Stardust coming. I've got some events that I'm going to be at, but I would know what they are. They're all on a calendar so that they don't have to stand the front of my brain. But yes, Kickstarter is what I'm most excited about.
Yes, that's the strength. Totally. Yeah.
And so I had that fiction Kickstarter, and then I will have a nonfiction Kickstarter coming up because I love writing craft books as well. And I wrote 3 craft books during the winter, so those are going to come up, and it's going to be Page Turner Craft. Let me see if I can remember that one.
I did see some shorts that were Page Turner focused on your YouTube channel.
I don't know what I was doing. That sounds good. I can't remember everything that I get up to.
Love it.
Oh yeah, here it is. And that's rights.com. So that's that one. So that's the nonfiction one, Page Turner Kickstarter. And that's how I write. This book is not out yet. I like doing Kickstarters. I think they're so much fun because when I do a Kickstarter, I can do the book, I can do an audiobook, I can do a course, I can do a webinar, I can do I love doing small groups because I really enjoy not just teaching. I like some group work where we can all talk about craft together. So I can do all of that in Kickstarter. Like I can't do that on Amazon. So I wrote a book called Page Turner Pacing: How to Write a Book in 21 Days. It's over on the other side of the room. But if you go to my website, you can see that if that's interesting to you to see exactly how. Hang on, I've got too many windows open. Page Turner Pacing, the ebook. So I wrote Page Turner Pacing, and once you go to Page Turner Pacing, you can see everything. But that's my shop. So I have my website, and then I have an actual shop, like a Shopify shop with all of my books on there. But the Page Turner Pacing, How to Write a Book in 21 Days. It's a book. It's a course. But then last year, I also did a Kickstarter called Page Turner Planning, because I am a plan nerd through and through. Like I brought you on the other side of the room so that you can't see the planner nest that I just relax in.
But I have to ask, is planner the same as plotter for you?
Well, planner.
I am not a plotter. I'm a planner and a pantser. I plan I pants my books.
I don't believe in. Okay, here comes some sacrilege. I don't believe in these terms, plotter and pantser.
Okay.
I don't think that because they don't help us. What helps us is structure. Because I bet you 1 million, you didn't flinch at all when I started talking about structural beats. You know them, you understand them. So what? You don't need to write them down in an outline. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But I understand the structure of a book. And I can just sit down and I'm not thinking, oh, let me fly by the seat of my pants. I'm thinking, okay, so I've done this. Now what comes next in the structure of a story? And I think studying structure is because when screenwriting, we didn't learn this term pantser. There was no such thing.
Right.
And that's what made us better, is learning structure. So I just smile politely when people start talking about pantsing versus plotter.
It's like the top question for author interviews is, are you a plotter or pantser? I can appreciate that people get tired of it, but I was like, wait, planner? What kind of planner? But yeah, I like blowing up the binary. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Don't get me started on planners, but I have planners. And I wrote Page Turner Planning, which is a 52-week book where I every week of this 2026, really any year, you can start at any time. I have craft advice for every single week and something crafty you can do. And then I have either marketing, productivity, or business advice for every single week of the year. If you want me to, I can grab it real quick, but you can also just go and take a look at it online if that's interesting.
Sounds like you had a busy winter. Sounds like you had a very productive, snug.
Yeah. I will write like a spicy paranormal in the morning, and then in the afternoon I will switch and write some nonfiction.
Excellent. That's an excellent day. Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's what I did. I know I'm getting excited. You're talking my love language now, but I'm gonna be quiet because I know we're over the hour.
I love it. I love it.
Mm.
So thank you so much for being
Thank
here as
you.
part of the Black Authortuber Readathon. We loved discovering and reading a book of yours and, promoting other people to read your books, which is amazing. And especially writing craft books. So glad to get to know you a little bit better. And people subscribe to NS's channel, subscribe to Beth Ann's, come back here for the month if you're interested in Black authors. And yeah, just thank you for watching, everybody. Any last words?
Go right.
Go right.
Go read. That's me.
Go read. There you go. Exactly. I like both.
Difference.
Yeah. So thank you very much, everybody. And we'll see you on Friday with Nyla Harvey and another great author. Bye, everybody.
Bye.